This video is about multiplying decimal numbers by 10, 100 and 1000. So we're going to be successful if we can multiply any decimal number by 10, 100 or 1000 using the steps you are going to be shown. Okay, so multiplying a decimal, we know that the number is going to get bigger if we multiply it. So that's something to bear in mind when you're thinking about the answer. Does it make sense? If you multiply something, it's going to be bigger. We have seen that multiplying a whole number, so that's a number without a decimal, by 10, 100 or 1000, can easily be done by adding on the correct number of zeros to the end of the number. So let's have a look here. We've got 43, so that's a whole number, there's no decimal. Times it by 100, we know we can add on 2 zeros, giving us 4,300. However, we cannot do that for decimal numbers. Okay, so to understand why, let's have a little look at this place value chart down below. So we've got an example here. So it says calculate 59.8 times 10. So if we think about our whole number rule, we could just add on a 0 to the end if it was, say for instance, 598, but it's not a whole number. Adding a 0 onto the end of this number does not change its place value. So here it is here, 59.8. If I add a 0 on the end, it still is 59, 5 tens, 9 units, and 8 tenths. It's not changed anything. So adding a 0 does nothing. So what we need to think about is, well, we know that timesing the number by 10 makes this number bigger. So we're going to think about, first of all, if we had, for instance, let's think about the 9 units. So if we had the number 9 and we times 9 by 10, well, we should hopefully know that that gives us 90. So what's happened there is that 9 is actually moved across one place into the tens column. So if that's moved across there, let's imagine if we had 50, 5 tens, 50 times 10, well, that's going to give us then 500. So that's going to actually move the 5 over in the tens column as well. And that's going to be 500 now. Now that follows also for the tenths. So that is going to also move over into the units column. The decimal point does not move, it stays where it is. So the answer then becomes 598. So the answer to 59.8 times 10 is 598. All of those numbers have moved over one place to the left, making it 10 times bigger. Now, there is no need to put the decimal point at the end. You can if you want, but there is no need for that. Okay, right, let's have a little look at another example. Okay, so the next one we've got is 2.831. So I've entered it into the place value table. This time we're multiplying by 100. So if I multiply 2 by 100, I get 200. So that is going to move that number over 2 places this time to the hundreds column. And then each of the numbers after that are going to follow. So the 8 tenths is actually going to become 8 tens. The 300ths is going to become 3 units. The decimal point does not move, and the 1000ths actually becomes 1/10. So the answer is 283.1. So the numbers have all moved over 2 places this time to the left because we're timesing each one by 100. Okay, let's have a look at some more examples. Now, that's fine. You can use a place value chart. You could copy this one down that we used here if you want to, and you could use that little place value chart to help you. You might be used to doing that in class from last year. However, we might think that actually we could do that without a place value chart, so we want to come up with a little rule. Maybe you already know one. Let's think about if we're timesing by 10 then. So when we multiply a decimal number by 10, we've seen that we moved all the numbers one place to the left. So if I multiply 45.3 by 10, I get 453. Okay. Now, some people may realise that actually moving the numbers to the left is the same as actually moving the decimal place to the right. So you could also think about moving the decimal place one place to the right, and that is doing the same as moving those numbers. So if we move it one place, because I'm timesing it by 10, that becomes 6.014. So you might prefer to think about it like that. Okay, so there's the decimal. I'm going to move it one place because I'm timesing it by 10. So I'm going to move it to there, so that becomes 58.71. Now remember what we said at the start of the video, that we're making the number bigger because we're timesing, so always check that your answer is bigger than what it was when you started with. Okay, let's see if the same thing applies when we're timesing by 100. So this time, we've got a decimal number. We're timesing by 100. We saw from the place value chart, we're going to move all the numbers 2 places to the left. Okay, so if we move the numbers 2 places to the left, we're going to have 1,178.9. So look at the next one. Again, we could also think about that decimal point moving instead. So if we move the decimal point, we're going to move it 2 places because we're getting 100 times bigger. So 2 places moves it to here. So that number becomes 60.14. Okay. And the last one. Now, the reason this looks a little bit different is because in math space, which is where you're going to do your task, the number 100 is written as 10 to the power of something. So in math space, when you see 10 to the power of 2, that is just the same as timesing by 100. Okay, so if you need to, you can write that out again as 100 to keep yourself right. So timesing by 100. Remember, we can move the decimal point 2 places over to the right, and that number becomes 8.71. Now you'll notice that there was a 0 in front of the 8. That we don't need that anymore. Okay, 0 in front of the decimal is insignificant. Now I've just realised, in fact, that first one I put on number 1 is the answer. So what I'll do is I'll just add a 1 to the equation to make that fully correct now. So if I move that over 2 places, it goes 1, 2. Sorry, let me just change the answer because that's not actually going to fix us. Let's just do that one more time, an extra one in my answer. So I'm going to move that over 2 places. That becomes 1,789. Okay, right, timesing by 1,000 then. So let's have a little look at that one. We didn't see that in the place value table, but you could also do it there. And you would see that moving 3 places to the left. Okay, so same thing again, 3 places to the left. So that's going to become 341. You could put in 0.0, but you don't need it. Or we could think about the decimal point moving over 3 places, so it's going to jump 1, 2, 3. Okay, number 2, again, we're going to move the numbers over 3 places to the left, or we could think about that point moving 3 places to the right, 1, 2, 3, so that becomes 64.5. And the last one. So again, looking a little bit different, but it's because math space shows 1,000 as 10 to the power of 3. So in math space, if you see 10 to the power of 3, that just means 1,000. Okay, so we've got 5.871, and we're going to times it by 1,000. Okay, so think about those numbers moving 3 places to the left, or the decimal point moving 1, 2, 3 to the right, and that becomes 5,871. Okay.